Welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the conference championships of the 2013 NFL playoffs, and right now we are talking with our two most successful long-term handicappers here, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com and Troy West from AllPlaysWin.com. These guys have really earned the promos for their sites that I'm about to give them. Let's start with you, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. 28-20 against spread in the NFL in our videos. I know you had another good week this past week at your site. Go ahead and brag a little.
Yeah, 3-1-1 with their NFL premium plays this week. That just builds on what's been a great regular season, actually going back to the preseason in the NFL. And as everybody knows, our bowl season was among our best ever, closing out with 9 straight bowl side selections. So we've been winning during the regular season and the postseason at OffshoreInsiders.com.
All right, and then Troy West from AllPlaysWin.com, who's 31-23 against the spread in the NFL videos with us this year, including 5-1 against the spread in the playoffs so far. Troy West, awesome job in the playoffs. I know you had another good week at your site, right?
We did, yeah. Now we're 6-1 in the NFL playoffs. Actually had a teaser on Saturday with Seattle and the Patriots that proved us that 6-1 overall in the NFL playoffs now. Been hot now for quite some time, Pete. Encourage viewers to come check out the site. We're hot right now in college basketball and really starting to pick up our game in the NBA as well. So feel pretty good about this one, Pete. You better remember, I'm out here in Seattle. I got a pretty good feel for it out here.
All right, well, let's start with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Joe, San Francisco at Seattle. Seattle's a 3.5-point home favorite. Total's 38.5 or 39. And when we discussed these opening lines, it was 39.5 at that point. And you said, you had a hard time seeing it going any lower, despite the fact that, these two teams play the style of football that they play. 38.5 or 39 is a total now. At these lines, what would your pick be?
Yeah, no, I would still lean towards the under there. This game, in fact, is the poster child of our golden rule of sports handicapping when it comes to totals. We tell you time and time again, handicapping totals is a lot more about pace than it is offensive or defensive competence. And to have great defensive statistics, the key in football is to have an offense that keeps them off of the field. And just to demonstrate, Seattle is 5th in the NFL in points per play on offense. San Fran is 7th. And both of those teams rank, for example, higher than New England and Indianapolis, two teams that had a much higher total last week. But the key is that Seattle is 29th in plays per game, fewest. So that means they're keeping the ball away from the other team, while San Francisco has the 31st highest number of offensive stats. So both of these teams play a pace that slows it down. Both of them have quarterbacks who can run the ball. They both, most importantly, have those throwback running backs who move the chains. If I'm a defensive coordinator, these are the guys that I would want as running backs. Frank Gore just moves the line of scrimmage, can continue to move the chains, as opposed to, say, in Philadelphia, where they've got Shady McCoy, who's probably a better all-around running back and a more explosive running back. But as far as keeping the defense off of the field, both of these offenses do that. I think there's going to be very few snaps, and it's going to be the pace of the game that will keep this game under the total.
Like I said, 39 is still widely available, which, yesterday it was 39.5. Of course, it opened at 40 or 41. Joe Duffy, though, still liking the under at 39. All right, now let's go to Troy West from AllPlaysWin.com. Our regular viewers know that Troy West has an awesome read on Seattle area teams in every sport. He's given us great picks both on and against Seattle area teams in football all year long. Troy West, Seattle's a 3.5-point home favorite, totals 38.5 or 39. What do you like here?
I absolutely love Seattle in this football game, Pete, and it's not a biased thing. You got to understand, Pete, look at the numbers of what Seattle has done to San Francisco over the last few games. It's outrageous. Outscored this opponent 72-16, Pete. There's something to be said for that. I don't care if it's the playoffs. I don't care if it's the game to go to the Super Bowl. The 49ers do not win in Seattle, and not only do they not win, they get blown out. Kaepernick has been historically terrible in Seattle. You cannot tell me that that's not weighing on his mind when he travels to Seattle. For God's sakes, there's a commercial on this guy who comes into Seattle and he's just getting thrashed by this town. This town is the hardest place in the league to play, 15-1 over their last 16 games. I know they've covered a huge number. I don't have the exact figure, but I know they covered, Pete. This team plays so much better at home. Their defense, to me, is the best in the NFL at home. They know how to score on this 49er defense. They proved it early in the year, beating them 29-3 at home. You just got to go with the home team in this one, Pete. The 49ers are cursed. They're doomed. They cannot win in Seattle. They haven't for some time now. I got to think that's weighing on their head. I think talent for talent, these teams are twin sisters of each other. But the home team, you got to give a significant edge in this one, Pete. I'm going with Seattle. You also got to remember, Pete, towards the end of the year at San Francisco, Seattle loses a heartbreaker, 19-17, and they had that game for almost 3.5 quarters, and that was on the road. Bring them back home, Seattle wins the game.
All right, that's a very compelling case. I think that a lot of people are just looking at this and saying, like, San Francisco, very quality team with a strong defense. The game's probably going to be close. 3 and a hook feels a little bit rough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And at what point does fatigue take factor? I know that the 49ers are playing on adrenaline, but you go into Green Bay, you go into Carolina, now you got to come back into Seattle for a 3rd straight week. Seattle came off the bye. They gave up only a touchdown to the New Orleans Saints. Got to think that they're still somewhat rested and going to be ready to play in this game. Percy Harvin is questionable. It scares me a little bit, but they've beaten this team several times without him. So I really think Seattle's the player. I'd be shocked if they didn't get this team by 4 points.
Troy West from allplayswin.com leaning Seattle -3.5, and Joe Duffy from offshoreinsiders.com leaning under 39. But check for their websites for their premium plays for sure right before kickoff. All right, guys, thanks so much. Great insights as always, and I look forward to discussing the Super Bowl with you.